What's up, y'all? So this video is going to be a little controversial. It's going to piss some people off, probably hurt some feelings. When I started fly fishing back in 2007, I came from a bass fishing background. I grew up bass fishing. Didn't come from an area where we lived in a poor neighborhood, Rose City. I've talked about it before. I was happy to have a zip code 33. So I didn't know any of this existed. Didn't know the hate, the shaming, the negative energy, and the vibes that happen in the fly fishing community. When I started fly fishing, probably like a lot of y'all, I thought it was gonna be fun. Thought it was gonna be a new way to catch fish, a new tool for my toolbox. I was thinking it was just gonna make me, I wanted to do something different. I grew up watching Hank Parker, Bill Dance. I kite fish because Hank Parker was in a Hobie. This is what disturbs me most about fly fishing is nobody out there is professional. We all do it for fun. It is all for recreation. It's all for your mental health. The fact that there is so much negativity and hate in this community, and this is the thing, it's not everybody, but for a small community, it's a large percentage. And they all want to tell you their opinions on everything you do. So a couple weeks ago, I was watching this video. This is what spawned this video. Elite Bass Pro went trout fishing, took his gear, treble hooks, swim baits, catching cutthroat, browns, and his video is definitely clickbaitish. He's definitely preying on people coming and leaving comments trying to drive up views. I get that, so I'm not suggesting you go watch the video. The problem is though, is he knew it was going to do that because he knows the attitude that exists in the bass fishing community towards fly fishing, and that if you've been around fly fishing long enough, you know that there is a pretentious, hateful, shaming, elitist attitude in the community. So I just went to the comments. I don't consider myself a fly fisherman, but if I did, I would want to know how other people look at you outside of, this one community, because the feeling I get is that exactly the comments I get, a lot of shaming, a lot of hate, a lot of negative energy, elitist, just constant, like there's the low level troll stuff that happens with every video, but it grows. I'll give you an example. There is an Onyx employee that was fishing in a Wi-Fi video, and he talks about fishing a bobber like a redneck when they switch to indicators. It's an unnecessary comment. Don't know why you left it. I don't understand somebody who works in the outdoor industry would basically like make fun of a whole group of people who probably use your app. But it doesn't stop there. You can find somebody that thinks if you're not fishing dry flies, you're not fly fishing. Indicators are bobbers and they're dumb and you're not fly fishing. Stalkers are a waste of time. Natives only. You get into the steelhead versus lake run trout from the Great Lakes. Like it will go on and on and on. What kind of flies you use, what kind of gear you wear. You get into bass fishing is dumb, carp are dumb. You can't fly fish for any of those because they're not trout. You got the whole like trout are holier, and well, I had guys tell me that I'm not being righteous by going bass fishing, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about anymore. Like, it's just fishing. The thing I want to do is skip past all that and get into the real people, the people that actually have interactions with. So on Little Red, I was there last 3 summers or falls really, starting about October, November. That's when I usually go out there. I take my kayak, so I'm paddling down the river at the end of the day, and there's a guy standing in the middle of the river. So boat dock on the left side, a bunch of trees on the right side. He's fishing this side for a little bit, and then as I get closer, he switches to the other side. Now I'm in a pedal drive kayak, so I need about 2 feet of water to get through. The log jam, it's low water. On the other side of the log jam, it's just a bunch of grass and vegetation. If you've ever been to the Red, there's patches of grass, and my prop won't cut through that, so I have to be in the middle of the river. So the problem is he's standing in the middle of the river and he won't pick a side. So eventually I stay where I'm at. He switches back onto my side. I do what I think is the right thing. What I would do as a kayak angler, I'll show a video of some other kayak anglers doing this to me.
I saw you catch one. Looks like you're doing good.
Yeah, and the difference on how you should handle this. I get right in his rod length, right? I want to be like right next to him because you're not fishing 8 feet away from you with a 9-foot rod. And dude, I ask him how it's going. When I get close to him, I can make eye contact with him, and he can see me and hear my voice. I'm like, hey, how's it going, man? Well, it was going pretty good until somebody decided to pedal through my hole. And I was like, I tried to get your attention. I also came close to you because I didn't figure out you were fishing at your shoelaces. But I'm sorry, man. Hope you have a good day. Like, it's just uncalled for. And that's like the basic basic level. And you can see these guys did the same thing to me, man. I see these guys coming down the river. Difference is I'm fishing up, I'm catching fish, and they paddle right through that, and I'm like, whatever, dude, I'll just go somewhere else to catch fish. Like, it's not that big a deal. But I come from a different background, I guess. Another thing that happened was I was on Instagram, and somebody shared basically looks like a drone shot, or maybe he was walking across a bridge and took a picture, and it's just unnecessary shaming, calling this guy out for standing in what appears to be a red, but I don't really know when that picture was taken. The problem is that it's a terrible message. Like, are we so superior that I can just make fun of somebody and point out and share a picture of that dude fishing on my page? The worst thing that's happening from that, you get a couple likes. If that guy sees it, or any other person who's spin fishing or bass fishing, they automatically put up a wall and burn a bridge. Like, I don't want to be associated with fly fishermen because they're snobs and they're pretentious and they're fly holes. Every single time I go to the red now, some property owner comes out and screams at me because a lot of times they think you're standing in reds. Like, they've gotten so protective, and really they think they own the river. I was there with my buddy a couple years ago, and some dude came out and just like screamed at me and hollered and was like, I know you're in the red. I'm like, I'm not in the red, dude. I'm fishing behind the red. I'm not standing in the red. I couldn't change his mind. He wouldn't listen to me. So he comes out, gets in the water, puts his waders on, and he's standing across the river watching me fish. Had another dude last year stand up on his balcony with his binoculars staring at me, and I'm like waving at him, and he won't wave back. And it's just that hateful, condescending attitude. And those are real people you run into. I've had it happen on Instagram. One of my first trips to the Bighorns back in 2020, I titled that video Fly Fishing the Bighorn Mountains of Bighorns because Orbis had shared a similar video a year before, which is how I learned about the Bighorns. So I titled mine the same. This guy named Thin Air Angler is a guy, I don't know if it's Wyoming or Colorado, but he leaves this hateful comment on that. It wasn't on the YouTube video, it was on Instagram. He came to my Instagram channel after seeing the video on YouTube and basically laid into me and told me basically he didn't understand why influencers had to share national forests. Those places can't take the amount of traffic that comes from social media. And I was kind of listening at that point in time. I was like, I have an open mind. Let's heard this on for like about 5 years. There's been a big push about not sharing states, national forests. I'm not really believing it at this point, but I'll listen to the argument. But then he goes into attacking me, telling me I have low self-esteem and I need social media to make myself feel better, at the detriment and pimping out these public places. And that's when I was like, dude, you don't really know me. Let me tell you, I'll have this conversation with you, but let's have it privately. Let's have it man to man like adults. Let's not do any shaming. Let's not do any name calling. Just email me, private message me, and let's have a adult conversation about this. But what you're doing is burning bridges. Nobody's gonna listen to your argument. At this point in time, I don't want to be associated with anything that you have or your view because I think you're a little unhinged. Another real life experience that I've had, I was fishing with my buddy Jared on the white. We caught a 25.5 or 25.25 inch brown. Can't remember exactly what it was. Made this video, like tons of fish, over 20 inches or whatever.
About a quarter inch. I think he's
some
right at
dude,
22.
there's a guide. He guides like in, I don't know if it's Cotter or Mountain Home, but he's one of the big fly shops up there. He leaves a comment about like, whatever, dude, you can't release a 25 inch brown with one hand. And then he goes into being like, hey, well, but whatever, like it doesn't matter. Your clickbait titles and your videos suck, and kind of hateful in nature. Definitely the part where he was like, but if you want to keep fishing with Gastons, be my guest. Like they're just nothing but a bunch of like bait chuckers anyway. And at the time, I didn't realize that beef existed between Gastons. I talked to my buddy who's been fly fishing his entire life. I was like, so what's the deal, man? Like I didn't grow up in this, so I didn't know. He's like, well, Gastons has a reputation of being chummers and bait chuckers and spin guides. Well, for me, I was like, that's what I did. Like when I started fishing for trout, like I fished power bait, worms, I bounced worm rigs off the bottom. I was like, okay, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. It was a 25 inch fish. I sent him a picture that we took of me on my Facebook page, and you can tell it's a 25 inch fish. He deletes his comment. The funny thing was I have a picture of me measuring, not me, but Jared measuring the fish. The reason I didn't share that in the video is because we're putting it on top of a cooler, and I knew there were going to be a whole bunch of trolls and shaming. They're like, you can't handle the fish. You can't let them, you got to let them go. Which gets into this is probably the one that bothers me the most, is the amount of you can't touch your fish. Like there was a movement a few years ago where a magazine didn't want people sending them 25 shots of the same fish because they knew that these people were keeping the fish out of the water longer than it should have been just to get a cover shot. You've seen these guys walking around with Nikons. They're just fishing for cover shots. So they created this like whole like, don't handle the fish, let them go, you don't have to get them out of the net. Well, a group of people like anything, and they took it to the next extreme. Like they're talking about recommending tools. Some dude probably made a tool that you don't ever have to touch the fish, and they just go on everybody's post and tell you that you're overhandling fish. The truth is, if you can't remove a fish from the net and take it from the 2 seconds from the net and put it into the water, there would be no trout. But there's gonna be a group of people out there. One guy told me when he was a Trout Unlimited ambassador, he learned the proper way was to never touch the fish. So what I normally do when I get those keep them wet crazy folks, I just share this link, reply with this Idaho Game and Fish and the University of Idaho. It's a catch and release studies that just basically says that holding fish for photos for up to 60 seconds is safe for catch and release and for reproduction. These are a bunch of unbiased opinions, like true scientists. This is like, we got to stop shaming people for this kind of nonsense. This right here, I'll link it in the description. You go check it out because it's a great read. Let me say it this way. If you can't find a way to make a net cheap and I have to pay $200 for it, I'm not using the net. All you're trying to do is make money off of me. So until that happens, I'm just going to use my homemade cheap net that's zip tied together. And keeping it just like real people. He emailed me from his business email, so I know he's a professional, he's educated, some guy in Utah, went off, and then in his email, he told me that the mountain trout waters out west were better than my muddy cypress swamps. I had another guy, some guy in Idaho. He was trolling me like everywhere, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, just leaving tons of comments. I knew it was the same guy because he would always, his handle on all of his pages was some scientific name of an indigenous plant. So by the time you start to, like, all these names that I wouldn't even know, so I'll look them up, I'm like, that's the same guy. So I started blocking all those things. He would find another one. Well, eventually I got tired of it. I was like, all right, I'll have this conversation with you, but you gotta tell me who you are. I'm not having a conversation with some fake account. So he told me who he was, gave me his real name. I looked him up, Googled him, because I wanted to make sure I wasn't talking to a psychopath. Sure enough, highly educated, a master's in engineering from an Ivy League place. He's like sits on the board of directors of some big company. Like, it's just shameful that people that are in that position, that are that educated, spend their time trolling fishermen. Like, it's silly. He is just anti-tourism anywhere. But the other thing, it doesn't always stop with just the shameful comments. I've had guys threaten me. I've had my Chevy, or my Nissan, the black Nissan, had the window broken out at the red, and I was parked beside my buddy who had his boat trailer in his boat. Suburban, trout stickers on every window. I got my Nissan with a kayak rack, a spare tire in the back, and a St. Jude's running sticker on the back, and somebody breaks out my window. You think they were gonna find fishing gear in my truck versus the Suburban with the trailer? No, that was just somebody that got pissed off at me because I maybe shared a picture about the little red at some point in time. Or maybe it's that dude, that the other guy shared his picture from the drone shot because he got pissed off and thought, okay, well, all fly fishermen are pretentious, so he got back from fishing and just chunked a rock through my window. I don't really know, but I've seen in the last year the amount of people have told me I need to be careful because they know what I look like, know what my truck looks like. It's ridiculous. This is just social media. This was supposed to just be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. It is fly fishermen, not everyone. Let me say this now. It's not everyone, obviously. It's with the small percentage of people who enjoy fly fishing, it's a large group. Especially when you think that somebody can find something negative to say about every single thing you do, whether it's dry fly, nymph, streamer, Euro, Tenkara. Like, you got YouTubers making videos about other YouTubers telling, like, basically calling you a liar. Like, somebody called me a liar, said I was fishing roadside streams and claiming to be remote. And then he used this in his video. The title of the video is like, people drive past this stream every day and don't know about the big fish in it, or something like that. If you're getting into fly fishing, just understand that there are going to be people out there who are constantly going to shame you and judge you. I got thick skin, it's no skin on my back, but at this point, it was something that needed to be said. So there you go, there you have it. That's all.